Colts, Bengals, Seahawks, 49ers. I'm going to let you know which teams you should look to sell high and which team you should look to buy low on. Plus, who should you take in the battle of backup quarterbacks when the Jaguars take on the Browns Sunday? I'll have the answer to that question, plus a great stat on backup quarterbacks, all coming up here on the Power 5 for NFL Week 14. How's it going, everybody? I am, of course, Bryan Power, and I'm on a perfect 14-0 all-sports run. Yes, you heard that correctly, 14-0 all-sports run entering Thursday. Number one at WagerTalk over the last 7 days. I'll be letting you know in just a little bit how to get my Thursday night NFL winner, plus the rest of my selections for 2023. Yes, the rest of the year at an incredible price momentarily. But first, we start the Power 5 as we always do by bringing up the WagerTalk.com odds screen to see how the market is moving. And I'm going to focus on just two games for this section. Both have seen money come in on the dog. First up is Detroit at Chicago. The Bears open plus 4.5. They're now down to plus 3.5. Even seeing some threes pop up on the WagerTalk live odds screen. The line movement may surprise some people, considering the Lions are 9-3 and the Bears are 4-8. But remember, just 3 weeks ago in Detroit, the Bears should have beaten the Lions. The Lions defense, near the bottom of the league in EPA per play since Week 7, has really struggled in the past to contain Bears quarterback Justin Fields. And while the Lions did cover a similar number last week in New Orleans, remember, they were gifted an early 21-0 lead in that game, managed to win by only 5, were even outgained, even though the Saints lost starting quarterback Derek Carr. The Lions outscoring opponents this year by only 3.5 points per game. That's the point spread here. I think the Bears could be a live dog on Sunday. And speaking of live dogs, the Panthers might be one as well. Yes, that's the 1-11 straight-up Panthers. They covered for me last week, though, in a 21-18 loss at Tampa. Majority of that game was played in a virtual monsoon. But look, I know Carolina is a tough team to back-to-back weeks, but hear me out. Going back to last season, the Saints have failed to cover the number in 7 straight home games. That includes 0-5 ATS this season. What was once one of the best home field advantages in the league, it's no more. Saints are 5-15 ATS at the Superdome since the start of 2021. That's the worst such record in the league during that time. Dennis Allen, in all due respect, you know what that means. He's not a very good head coach. So I guess that's not much respect there. But 9 times the Saints have been favored this season, and they're 1-8 ATS. So not a team you want to lay points with. Dennis Allen, not a head coach you want to back with. I should say. Speaking of coaching, Carolina just made a coaching change. They fired Frank Reich. Remember, no incentive to tank for the Panthers because they don't have their first-round draft pick next year. Therefore, I am not surprised we've seen money come in on the Panthers thus far, down to plus 5 after opening plus 6.5. That does it for our market move section. Let's now move on to the second leg of the Power 5, sell high. Indianapolis, who is either -1 or a pick'em. We don't want to back the Colts this week, even though very quietly they have moved to 7-5 straight up on the season after 4 consecutive wins. With last week's 31-28 win at Tennessee, the Colts went over their preseason win total of 6.5. First time the franchise has gone over a season win total since 2020. Right now, this would be a playoff team in the AFC. So why are we looking to sell high on the Colts again? Here's a list of the teams the Colts have beaten the last 4 weeks. Panthers, Patriots, Bucks, Titans. The last 3 wins have all been by 7 points or less. Last week, they needed OT to win in Tennessee. That was a pretty fortunate win for the Colts, considering they blocked 2 punts, injuring the Titans punter in the process. And the result of that injury was Tennessee missing the potential game-winning extra point because their punter doubles as the holder on kicks. Indy outgained in that game and has been outgained on the season. They were also down 17-7 to the Titans. I'm just not ready to buy into this Colts team with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. Cincinnati, who opposes the Colts this week, and some of the sharper books we're now seeing the Bengals favored, they won Monday night against Jacksonville with backup QB Jake Browning becoming the first signal caller this season to complete 80% of his passes, average at least 10 yards per attempt, have at least 30 pass attempts, and throw for more than 300 yards. He's the only quarterback that's done those 4 things in a single game this season. And that was against a defense, a Jaguars defense, that had been top 10 in the league in DVOA. The weakness of this Colts defense is the secondary. I'm selling on the Colts in Cincy this week. After all, Minshew had previously never won 3 consecutive starts in his pro career. Buy low, how about Seattle, plus 10.5? truth be told, it's more of a sell high on the 49ers, who Seattle's playing this week. So we've really got two sell highs this week, but just work with me here. We have a buy low segment. It's going to be Seattle. The Niners are, of course, coming off the huge 42-19 win in Philadelphia last week, where, after a slow start, they scored touchdowns on 6 consecutive drives. 5 of those drives went for 75 or more yards, by the way. But coming off such a high-profile win and now having to turn around and lay double digits to a division foe, that's a bad spot, in my opinion. Let's not forget Seattle. They're off a mini bye as they played last Thursday. Stayed close in Dallas, only lost by 6 points, 41-35. I have Dallas power rated as the second best team in the league, only behind the 49ers. So if the Seahawks can stay close in Dallas, I think they can stay close here in San Francisco. Against the Cowboys, the Seahawks offense was not forced to punt the entire game. Now, the defense didn't force a punt either, but I know what you're saying. 2 weeks ago, the Seahawks lost by 18 at home to the Niners, but that's one of only 3 double-digit losses Seattle's taken this season. I would look to buy low on Seattle getting double digits this week. Prior to last week, Seattle was 7-3 straight up, 8-2 ATS, when off back-to-back straight-up losses. Now, before continuing with the Power 5, I've got to go back and talk about this incredible win streak that I'm currently on. As I said at the top of the show, entering Thursday, I'm on a 14-0 all-sports run. I swept the board in college football on Conference Championship Saturday, going 5-0, then did it again in NFL on Sunday, 5-0. Also a perfect 4-0 in college hoops over the last 6 days. I've got to play for Thursday on Thursday night, Patriots, Steelers, but if you're listening to this after that game kicks off, no worries, because the WagerTalk year-end special is the way to go. For just $199, you get all of my plays for the rest of 2023. That's NFL, the college bowls, NBA, college basketball, and soccer. I'm 9-1 my last 10 college football selections, went 67% last year in the bowls, 17-6 last 23 in NFL. NBA is hitting 61.5% this season. In fact, I'm hitting over 60% with all basketball this season, and over the last 10 months, I'm up 76 or 77.6 units, pardon me, in NBA and college basketball combined. To take advantage of this end-of-year special, just head on over to my page, wt.buzz/BP. No coupon code needed, and you'll start receiving my plays instantly after purchase. Now back to the Power 5. Stat of the week. One of the big stories this season's been the unders, these low totals, but I think coming into Week 14, the biggest story is all these backup quarterbacks we're going to see on the field. There could be as many as 9 starting this week, 9 backups, that is, which would be the most in any week in a decade. Before you go blindly fading teams that are starting backup quarterbacks, you're going to want to take note of our stat of the week. Since the start of last season, backup quarterbacks in the NFL, 83, 67, and 4 ATS. My opinion, odds makers intentionally overadjust these lines too much with backup quarterbacks involved, knowing the public is looking to fade the team without its starter. It's not just the NFL either. Look at last week in college football. I went 2-0 Saturday playing backups for SMU and Florida State. So bottom line, just because a team is without its starting quarterback, do not go blindly fading them. Power play of the week. Let's wrap up the Power 5 with Cleveland moneyline over Jacksonville. And speaking of backup quarterbacks, we've got a pair in this game as C.J. Beathard starts for Jacksonville. Joe Flacco goes for Cleveland. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence got hurt Monday night for the Jags, which is a tough break, and this is a tough turnaround heading to Cleveland on a short week where poor weather is expected. Flacco, he's the 4th different starting quarterback for Cleveland, but honestly, early on, he looked as good as any of them. He looked better than Deshaun Watson, DTR, PJ Walker. He faltered down the stretch at a killer interception, but let's take a look at the Browns the last 2 weeks. I know they've lost by 17 to the Broncos and by 17 to the Rams, but those were misleading finals. 2 weeks ago, it was a 17-12 game against the Broncos when DTR had to leave with a concussion. Last week against the Rams, the Browns were only down 1 in the fourth quarter, 20-19, and the only reason it wasn't tied is because of a missed extra point. Now, when you have a game with 2 backup quarterbacks, you're betting into uncertainty, which we don't like to do necessarily. However, what we are certain of is the Browns' defense at home. The home-road splits for this Cleveland defense are really unlike anything I've ever seen. At home this year, they allow just 10.2 points per game. On the road, they allow 30.7 points per game. As a reminder, this game's in Cleveland on Sunday. So I'm playing Browns money line. I don't want to lay the 3. And that is your Power Play of the Week. And that does it for the Power 5 for NFL Week 14. Be sure to smash that like button if you already haven't done so. Go ahead and make sure you are subscribed to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Feel free to comment down below. Let me know what you think of the plays we talked about here, the games on the Power 5. I'll be happy to get back to you. Also, you can find me on X, formerly Twitter, at Bryan Power _wins. Until next time, let's cash some tickets.